So how to be fluent in English? What an interesting and complex question. So in today's video, we are going to be talking in depth about the 3 components that you need to master if you want to speak fluent English. So if this is something that you're interested in or that you've been working on, then please join us. So to my subscribers, welcome back you guys, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Victoria, and I post for those of you who are looking to master the North American English accent. So if that's something that you're looking to do, then please subscribe and be sure to hit that notification bell, and YouTube will let you know as soon as I've posted new content. So let's hop right into today's topic, fluency in English. Now, I find the idea of fluency to be really interesting and sometimes a little confusing or frustrating. And I think it's because everyone measures their own level of fluency so differently. And there's 2 ends of the spectrum, right? On one end of the spectrum, you may have someone who speaks literally nearly perfect English. They may have a tiny accent from their native language, and yet they'll still come to me as my client and say, well, I hope that one day I can be fluent in English. And I'm thinking, my goodness, by every measure in my mind, you're totally fluent. You sound almost exactly like a native speaker. But to that individual, fluency means sounding exactly like they do in their native language, right? And then on the other end of that spectrum, you have those individuals, and I'm sure you've encountered someone like this at some point in your life, who declares that they're fluent in a language and they literally speak like 5 words of that language. So that can be really frustrating and difficult. And so I think it's really important when we're working on something is to try to be as objective as possible in terms of whether we're meeting a certain target or not. And that probably comes from my training as a speech language pathologist, in which met or not met is really important. So was the very specific criterion accomplished or not? And so this is kind of how I've chosen to approach today's video, is to use objective criteria for determining or for helping us work towards this goal of fluency. So recently it was actually one of my subscribers that mentioned that the Cambridge Dictionary is a really nice tool for transcription, and I checked it out and it's really useful. So the Cambridge Dictionary gives this definition of fluency. So it says, the ability to speak or write a language easily, well, and quickly. Easily, well, and quickly. Now, I think it's real important to consider each of those 3 words individually and objectively, and let's think about what they really mean, because I think that'll be really helpful. So the first word, easily, when I think of easily in English, I think of linking, because if we do not link word to word to word, English becomes so choppy, and truly it becomes much more difficult to speak in this way. So for easily, I think linking. For the word well, I simply think of correct pronunciation, right? So the articulation component. And for the word quickly, I think of reductions, because it's really unnatural sounding if you don't use reductions in English. I mean, whether you're speaking quickly or not, this is true, but if you're trying to speak fast and you're not reducing, it's going to sound really unusual, and it's really a common problem that I see, especially in my clients that come from syllable-timed languages. So when one of those clients switches into fast mode, but every single syllable is equally shortened, it truly becomes difficult to understand. Okay, so here's where we are so far. We're looking to speak the language easily, well, and quickly, and we agreed that that means that we're going to use linking, correct pronunciation, and reductions. So what we're going to do in today's video is look at 12 different expressions that are commonly used in English, and we're going to break them down in terms of that specific criteria. So the first expression that we're going to analyze is doggy dog world. It's a doggy dog world, meaning it is cutthroat out there. It is really, really competitive, right? So doggy dog world, doggy dog world. None of those words is getting reduced, right? Dog, eat, dog, world. They're all in their full form, even though you'll hear the stress being doggy dog world, doggy dog world. So world still gets the greatest emphasis, but dog, eat, and dog are still all clearly articulated. They're not being reduced. Next, let's look at linking. So doggy dog, doggy dog. So how I want you thinking about this is that the G of dog moves to eat. So we're not saying dog space eat, we're saying da-gi, da-gi. The eat has an unreleased T, and this is important because it is in fact a part of linking as well. And then the final dog is the same as the first, doggy, dog, and then world. So a few little things that I want to mention about these vowels. So they're all tense vowels in this expression. So we have ah, e, ah, So our ah is a low back vowel. Our e is slightly diphthongized in eat. So it's not a pure e. We're not saying eat, we're saying eat. So there's a little bit of movement and there's a little bit more tension. The final vowel, is really, really tricky for many reasons. From a logical standpoint, it's spelt O-R, but there's no O component. And physically, it's really tricky to produce it as well. But really, it's a vowel in which you raise the back of your tongue up, and you have to have really good jaw stability to say It's one sound, even though the spelling in this word is 2 letters, O-R. So in doggy dog world, we've thought about linking, we've thought about pronunciation, and we've thought about reductions which didn't exist, okay? So if you say, oh my gosh, it's a doggy dog world out there, then you're saying that perfectly fluently. Our next expression was a request from one of my subscribers, and it is, what do you know? What do you know? So kind of an exclamation of surprise. So this one, really, really interesting, right? So let's look at the words individually. What do you know? That sounds nothing like what I'm saying, right? When I say, what do you know? What do you know? So the strongest word is what? It's know. What do you know? And listen to what's happening to my other words, right? I'm not saying what do you, I'm saying what do you, what do you. So the T in what and the D in do, those are combining to make one alveolar flap. What a, what a, what a. What do you know? Listen to my you in that expression. What do you know? I'm not saying you, right? I'm saying y. So I'm saying y followed by a really, really quick vowel sound, which would be schwa. The other 2 things that I want you thinking about here, what do you know? What do you know? My first what also reduces to schwa, and my final vowel is a full diphthongized O sound. Hey, what do you know? In deep water. In deep water. So this is an expression we'd use to say, whew, you're in trouble, you're in deep water. So that's funny. How I just read it now, word by word for emphasis, is not how I said it earlier, right? In deep water, in deep water. So the linking here isn't super interesting. The N links to deep literally just by bringing the words as close as possible. In deep water, the only thing that I want you thinking about for linking from deep to water is that we're not going to have a strong release on that P, because that would sound a bit cluttery. So we're not saying in deep water, in deep water. I'm saying in deep water, water. So I'm releasing the P into the W, literally at the same time. Let's look at some of the articulation here. So our in is that lax I vowel, no nasality, no tension. So it's not in, it's in. Deep is that tense, diphthongized E vowel that is not a pure I sound. And then water is a really, really tricky word. So in the word water, there's three really difficult components that are individually difficult and they're coming together. So when we're saying water, granted the W is difficult for some folks as well, but let's ignore the W in which your lips are rounded. It's typically not so hard to make. The real difficult part is the otter. So we start with a low back ah vowel, right? Ah. That sound is going directly into an alveolar flap. So your jaw has to be really, really stable. And that's tricky because if you come from a language that has pure vowels, you've never likely had to use your jaw in the same way because you can say a, e, o, u and not really do a lot of work. But if you're saying ah, and then from an ah, you have to go into a perfectly coordinated flap, which requires good jaw stability as well. And then from there, you're going into an there's a lot going on there. So an alveolar flap, you got to raise your tongue and gently tap the alveolar ridge. So that's the part right behind your upper teeth, but it's not like a D sound, meaning you're not stabilizing your tongue behind your upper teeth. You're not resting it there. You're just bringing your tongue up and you're gently tapping. From there, from the gentle, quick, controlled tap, you're retracting your tongue back and up into the sound. Water, water. You are in big trouble, you're in deep water. Our next expression, break even. Break even. So let's look at the linking first. So pretty straightforward. The k of break doesn't stay with the word break, it bops over to the word even. And the reason that's happening is because even begins with a vowel, and we always want a syllable to begin with a consonant if possible. So we're saying bray, and then we're saying kevin. Let's look at some of the vowels in this word. So the first vowel is A, the second vowel is E, and then our third vowel is schwa. So we have tense, schwa. Break even, break even. So this expression means that there was no net gain or loss, like we broke even, everything is balanced, right? And one more thing I wanted to mention about break even, that neither of the words are reducing. Break, even, that's how those words would be said in isolation as well. Our next expression is call it quits. Call it quits. So in this one, the call, the L in call, links over to it. Call it. Call it. The it has an unreleased T. That again is a part of linking, because if I said call it quits, while it's not technically wrong, the unnecessary acoustic information on that T makes it feel a bit cluttery, a little bit less fluent, if you will. So call it quits. That's how it's linked. All of the words are staying at baseline. It is already a really short word, but I'm not saying ut, I'm really saying a real it with a lax I vowel. And then let's look at our other two vowels here. Call it quits. Call it quits. So the first vowel is that low back ah vowel we talked about a bit earlier. And quits has the exact same vowel as it. It quits. Call it quits. So this, in case you guys aren't sure, means we're calling it quits. Like we're done working on a certain project. We're basically quitting that project. The next one is pan out. Pan out, meaning to work out. So unfortunately, things didn't pan out, means things didn't work out. So pan out, just 2 syllables, pretty straightforward. Pan out is linked by that N going over to out. So we're not saying pan out, we're saying pan out, nout. And this is a tricky vowel on pan. So it is technically that tense ah sound, but most native speakers are going to add some nasality to that ah. So it's not pan, though you will occasionally hear that in certain speakers. it's usually going to be pan, pan. That second vowel is ow, ow. You will hear some variation on that vowel as well. It's a really, really unpopular vowel. And then the last thing I want you to notice is the out. Typically, you'll hear it unreleased, but again, that's a variation matter. It's not like a strict right or wrong. So unfortunately, things didn't pan out. So our next expression is no ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. So typically, not always, this is something that someone may say kind of like in a disciplinary type fashion, maybe to a child. So it's saying like, don't say if, don't say and, don't say but, like don't make any excuses like I don't want to hear anything, you just got to go do what I'm telling you to do. So let's think about the linking in this expression. No ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. So no and ifs links together with the w, with the W component of no, right? So it's like we're saying whiffs, no ifs, no ifs. Then the S of ifs bops on over to ands. No whiff, sans. No whiff, sans. Then sans, so the z links to zer, zer. No whiff, sans, or no whiff, sans, or buts. So doesn't really link to buts. They're just as close together as possible. So this, because of the circumstance in which you might hear this used, it may or may not be that linked, because if you're really emphasizing each word you say, then it's natural to pause. Like if I was really being super emphatic, I might say no ifs, ands, or buts. But if I'm linking it, if I'm speaking freely, then I will in fact link a lot in that phrase. No ifs, ands, or buts. So which word is reducing, a lot in this expression? No ifs, ands, or buts. So it is the word or, right? It's not wrong to say or buts, but because that's really not one of the key words in this phrase, it's really common to hear or become a really quick sound. None of the other words are reducing. Like and is usually a word that we can reduce, but in this context, and is really crucial to the meaning of this expression. And so we're not saying we're saying ands as a real word. And let's quickly run through the vowels in this expression. So our first vowel is O. Our second vowel is a lax I. The vowel in ands is that nasalized tense an vowel. We said is a really quickly reduced vowel. And then buts is a lax sound. No ifs, ands, or buts. Or a bit more linked, we have no ifs, ands, or buts. Next up, we have way to go. Way to go. So you're kind of complimenting someone. You did a great job. Way to go. You got an A on your report card. Way to go. So this one is linked in a real interesting way as well. So I'm saying wait up, wait up. So what's happening to the word to? Wait up, wait up. So the to is becoming flap schwa. So I'm not saying way to go. That would sound super unnatural. I'm saying way to go, way to go. So in terms of linking, we're just bringing everything as close as it can be. There's no fancy things going on. And in terms of our vowels, our first vowel is A, so that slightly diphthongized sound. Our second vowel is schwa, like I said. And then the third vowel is O, so not an O, a diphthongized moving O sound. Way to go, that was awesome. Our next expression, keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. So be open-minded, that sounds a bit redundant, but keep an open mind. So don't be too stuck on your own thinking, like think of all of the possibilities, right? So there's a lot of linking going on in this short phrase. So listen to keep an open, keep an open. keep an open. So every time we have a word ending in a consonant, we're bopping it over to the next word if that word begins with a vowel. So we're not saying we're not saying keep and, we're saying keep, no, keep a no, keep an open mind. Open and mind just come together as close as possible. Which of these words, if any, are reducing? Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. So the one word that's reducing is the word an. So I'm not saying keep an open mind because an is totally boring, not very interesting in this expression. So I don't need to say that nasalized tense an sound, which takes a lot of effort. I'm saying keep an open mind. There's a lot of tense vowels in here that I want you guys to notice. So the first vowel is E. So again, not a pure E, a slightly diphthongized E sound. Then we have our schwa, bun. The next one is a diphthongized O in open. The final syllable in open is another schwa, or you can think about it as a syllabic N. And then our final vowel is a tense I sound. Keep an open mind. Our next expression is pat on the back. Pat on the back. So it can be literal or more figurative, like if someone does a good job, like, you deserve a pat on the back for that. So it's a compliment, right? So pat on the back. So in isolation, our words would be pat on the or the back. So when we link it, when we reduce it, there's a few things going on. So the first one that really stands out is the T in pat becomes what? Pat on, pat on. So that T becomes an alveolar flap. Of course, I'm not saying the is reducing to schwa. Pat on the back, pat on the back. No other really interesting linking things going on there. In terms of our sounds, the first vowel is a, pat. The second one is really an ah, unless we're talking incredibly quickly. That ah and on usually remains an ah. Pat on, pat on. The, we just said, is schwa. And then our final vowel is the same as our first vowel, pat, back. They both have that tense a sound. You deserve a pat on the back. Our next expression is take it easy. Just relax, don't be so uptight, take it easy. Or, what did you do this weekend? Not much, I just took it easy, meaning I just chilled out. So let's look at our variables here. Take it easy, take it easy. So take it, how does that link up? Take it, take it. So again, we're not saying take, pause, it. The K is really going with it. Take it, take it. Take it easy, take it easy. How am I linking it to easy? With a flap, with an alveolar flap. So I'm not saying take it easy, I'm saying take it easy. In terms of reductions, the word it is already a really short lax vowel it, but to my ears, it really is sounding more so like a reduced so I'm not hearing as much take it easy or take it easy. I'm really hearing a super, super short vowel here, but I'm sure different listeners might hear different things because we're talking milliseconds. And then let's talk quickly about our vowels. Take it easy. So other than that, our first vowel is A, so that diphthongized moving A sound. And then in easy, there are two vowels. They're the same, E and E. Final thing to note, that even though easy is spelt E-A-S-Y, we're not saying easy. We're making that letter S voiced, meaning it is a Z sound. Take it easy. And our final expression is tell me about it. Tell me about it. So this would be used to agree with someone. If I was like, oh, I wish winter was over already, someone could say, tell me about it, meaning I'm in total agreement with you. I'm of the same opinion as you. So tell me about it. In terms of linking, tell, me, those just go as close as they can get. Me and about is a really subtle link using the y component of the e vowel. So if we were to really break it down, it's like I'm saying me about. So the y is kind of invisibly linking both of those. Tell me about, y about. So tell me about it, the T of about it, the T of about, and then it. How do those link? About it. The T becomes an alveolar flap, right? And then what about the final T? That's what made me confused a second ago. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. So I'm unreleasing that T. That's not necessary, but that's often what you'll hear. So are there any words being reduced when I say, tell me about it? Tell me about it? Not really. That it, again, could go either way, but in my mind, in this example, I'm hearing more of an it than an ut, probably because of its position and function in this expression. So let's quickly go over these vowels before I lose my voice here. So tell me about it. Our first vowel in tell is that lax eh sound. Me has that tense E vowel that is not a pure E sound. It has a little bit more tension and movement. The word about is comprised of 2 syllables. The first syllable is what sound? About. So it's a schwa. And the second vowel is ow, ow, ow. Really unpopular vowel. And then our final word, it, has that lax I sound. Tell me about it. So that is all for today's video, you guys. I do hope you found this helpful. I hope that when you're working on your fluency, you're going to think of these same 3 variables, meaning linking, pronunciation, and reductions, to help you feel more confident, to know that you're really hitting all the criteria for fluent English. So if you think that any of your friends would find this kind of video helpful, then please share it with them. I don't have any social media. I know I should, but I really appreciate the shares. So that's all, you guys. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.